We are trying to educate, promote.
Everybody knows Netflix.
Yes.
So
If you hire people that didn't have a...
we're not a family, right? Because
how did you saw them? Hello to everyone. Today we are having a new episode of Digital Romania, video and podcast. And today we're gonna make it in English because I have a special guest, Sascha, who's speaking English. And I hope you will watch our podcast and you will find out about the event that we are promoting. So on the 4th of March, we are promoting Limitl3SS, new and innovative event that will take place in Târgu, Mureș. I have the privilege to have together with me Sascha, who is representing 3SS, the company behind the event. And I would like to introduce Sascha and to let him say a few words about him. And after that, to get to know each other and to talk more about the company that he is representing, how they are helping Romania to become more digital, and some insights about the event. Sascha, please.
well, thank you for having me. Quick introduction for myself. As you pointed out correctly, I speak English. I also speak German. I'm miserable at Romanian, which is a bit embarrassing considering that I moved here in 2011. So I had like 12 years to learn the language and failed. What can I say? It's very similar to programming languages. I never learned them. I have been working in IT for the last 30 years, roughly, and always in software development companies, but never managed to create a single line of working source code. So what could I do? I figured out that my strengths are actually in a different area. As bad as I am at developing code, I'm much better at figuring out how people and organizations can work better and better together. So I keep focusing on this. For the first few decades, I really was working strictly in the operational area, as chief operations officer, as whatever director, but always in the operational part, which is very fact-driven, data-driven, and process-controlled, which is something that comes kind of naturally to me. But in the last few years, I actually switched to the HR side of things, which at first was very scary, not gonna lie, but it also gave me some insights into how an organization can work better, which I didn't have before. So now I have the advantage of knowing the hard facts in terms of processes and tools, but also softer factors helping people to work better. And that's what I do at 3SS basically. I'm working with two great teams, one for HR, one for IT. And just like a referee at a football game, these teams are invisible as long as everything works well, right?
Yes.
As long as nothing goes wrong, nobody makes a mistake, you don't see them. But this does not mean that they're not important. Obviously, the organization could not function without those, I call them platform services, right? Because they need to be there for everybody else to be able to do whatever it is they are doing. Whether they are sales or developers or project managers, doesn't matter. So and with these two great teams, I'm lucky enough to work at in my probably biased opinion, great company.
Okay, nice to meet you, Sascha. And I think HR, it's something that in IT it's very important. But we're gonna talk more about this in a few words. So we at Digital Romania, we are trying to educate, promote, and help companies to digitalize their businesses. How does your company help other companies from Romania, or maybe how does it help the entire environment in Romania to accept more technology, software, and be more digitalized?
Mm-hmm. Excellent question. There are probably two aspects. One is the internal one, so things that we do ourselves to be more digitalized and to be more efficient. This is probably the same thing that many other companies do as well. Getting rid of paper-driven processes, replacing them with electronic things, or getting rid of processes at all. Quick example, it used to be that in order to take vacation, a person had to fill in a form, right? Get this form to the manager had to check it, had to approve it, and it goes back to the employee, etc. So we got rid of all of this, and we said, guys, we trust you not to go on vacation without telling the people you work with that you will be gone, right? So the only thing you need to do is talk to your teams, tell them that you're going to be on vacation, and then, for legal reasons, you just fill in an online form, but there is no more confirmation process. Right? So we completely removed all this paper trail, replaced it with a very simple electronic online form, and at the same time, obviously made it much easier for the employees. So that would be an example for what we do internally. Then in the bigger picture, 3SS and its daughter company in Romania, SmartSoft, have been around since 1997. So it's like 25 years now. We've celebrated actually our 25th anniversary last year.
Congrats.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. It was also the first time we could get everybody together again after this pandemic. So it was great fun. And I don't remember much of it, to be honest, but I suppose that's how it's supposed to be. But what we have been doing since then, and are still doing now, and even stronger with the event we're going to talk about, is to take a look at how we can keep IT talent in Romania. You will know yourself that a lot of IT people like to go abroad, right? Because presumably better life conditions, better salary, better career opportunities, etc. And at 3SS, we are trying actively to work against this trend. And the way we do it is by providing a work environment that we think is very attractive, to make it easier for people to decide to stay here. And the second thing, again a bit larger, is to try and build and foster a community around the whole IT part in Romania. We are starting with this on a larger scale this year with Limitl3SS, the IT summit. It's our first edition, so we are a bit nervous about it, to be honest. But we are also confident that it's going to be a great event.
From what I saw, your approach is fresh and innovative, and because I know and I participated to many events in Romania in IT area, I think there will not be a problem for you, because the IT community is eager to attend this kind of events.
Well, I really hope so.
Okay. So you were talking about internal digitalization. What can you tell us about external digitalization? How you approach this process with your customers?
So this again has been happening for quite some time, but like for many other companies, this was very much accelerated during the pandemic, right? So for us, it was not such a big change because we have been doing a lot of things online. We have had people working from all over the world basically for a long time, so we were kind of used to this. But with the pandemic, we had to intensify it. So when it became obvious that people would have to work from home and couldn't come to the office anymore, I think within 2 weeks, we managed to equip everybody to be working from home as efficiently as from the office. In some cases, probably even more efficiently. Once again, great IT team, right? They managed to do this for all the, by now, 300 people. We have now 7 offices in 5 countries. So this is not as easy as it may seem. It's not as easy as it used to be when we were just like 30 people, but they certainly managed. What we also did beyond that is to help our customers to work with us better in a pure online environment. So a prime example is that every 3 months we meet with our customers as a large group. So the whole team that is working on a project, together with all the people from the customer working on the project, meet for 2 days for a so-called planning workshop. This is usually done face-to-face, but obviously during the pandemic we couldn't. But planning still needed to be done. So we found ways to do this online very easily, very quickly. It's not as great and as effective as the face-to-face workshop, as always. I mean, us talking face-to-face is much more fun than doing this online. But it still works. So that's another example where we really use online tools and our experience in this domain to really make it better and faster to work with people.
Okay, so basically you are also educating and you are helping customers to work in a digital way. Maybe you can give us some examples about how did you manage to let's say work with so many people in so many countries, and maybe you can give us some insights about the Romanians guy, how if they adopt your vision at the group level, and how did you to manage to do this?
Okay, this is probably going to take a bit longer. So if I'm starting to bore you, you have to stop me. In order to answer this completely, I need to dig a bit into the history. So like I said, SmartSoft has been founded in 1997 here in Romania. And they started with a handful of people. And by now we're like 300 people. Most of those were actually hired in the last 2.5 years, like 150 approximately.
Okay.
So there was quite a growth spurt in the last few years. The only way we could do this was by finding a way to combine our core team, people who have been with us since 1997, and we still have quite a few of those, with these newcomers and new joiners. And of course, initially we had all our people in Târgu, Mureș, in our initial office, which is still our biggest, with 100 plus people there. But then we branched out. We went to Brașov, we went to here, to Cluj-Napoca. Then we had offices in Moldavia, in Chișinău. We still have the one in Ukraine, in Sumy, where we have a special kind of challenge, obviously, right now. So
yes.
The guys over there don't have it easy. And most recently, the one in the US. The combination of having our so-called dinosaurs, as we lovingly call them, with our newcomers was simply that whenever somebody joins us, from the very first day, they get a dedicated mentor. Right? So this is their go-to person for anything they need. When I say go-to person, then I mean this is their first point of contact, but it's by no means their only one. If they have any questions, they can always go to anybody. We don't really have a very hierarchical company structure. We understand and see ourselves more like a peer-based organization. What this means in real life is that it doesn't matter if you joined us 1 day ago, or if you have been with us for 20 plus years, your opinion is just as relevant as this guy's opinion. And if you have something to say, you can, and to be honest, you're actually expected to say something. If you see something that you think we can or should do better, talk to your mentor, talk to your department lead, talk to HR, if it makes you feel better, if it's easier for you, or if you meet him on the hallway, talk to the CEO. Everybody's going to listen to your opinion. And that's what we mean when we say we're peer-based. Every company has like fancy values and sets of, I don't know, we are so great, we believe in whatever things. In our case, it's very simple. It's common sense, it's honesty, and it's the wish to learn, basically. If you bring these 3 things, you will do fine. And these are also the things we actually focus on a lot when we hire new people. It happens quite often that we have candidates where we see this person's technical skill level is better than this person's, but she would be a better cultural fit, right? To use a cliche. A better fit with what we think people should bring along. And in most cases, we would actually then hire this person rather than the technically more skilled one. Because technical skills you can learn and acquire fairly easily, whereas the right attitude, the right characteristics, you don't pick up on the fly, right? You have them usually, or you don't.
I have to tell you that in my former company, which was also part of a German group, we tried a similar approach, but we didn't manage. And I think it's very interesting that you managed to do it. But as you told me, it was not easy. So it took a lot of years.
Yeah, so this peer-based organization, one characteristic is, like I said, we don't have this typical pyramid. We don't believe there's one person who knows everything about everything and tells everybody else what and how to do it. Rather, we try to hire and bring the right people on board and then trust them to know how to do things. So we give them a certain responsibility, of course. With this comes accountability, which for some people, especially for young people, is sometimes tricky because they might get a bit scared, to make a mistake or to destroy something, but it's totally fine. So we don't mind if somebody makes a mistake. We just would like them not to do the same mistake again and to find a better way to do it next time. The way we are organized, instead of as a pyramid, is actually in circles. So the basic idea comes from a concept called holacracy. We did not implement holacracy by the book because I think it's a bit over-engineered, at least for our purposes, but we did pick the parts that are relevant and helpful for us and implemented those. And I think if I have to describe it very simply, I would have to explain that we are very flat. We have these circles, and an individual person can and usually is part of multiple circles. How does this work? Very simple. There are kind of static circles that exist throughout the whole time, basically, which could be a department like HR, right?
Administrative circles.
Yes, or even a technological circle like Android developers, right? We can say there's one circle and this one will always be there. As long as we have the company, we will have this circle. So that's like a permanent circle. And then we have temporary circles, for example, for projects, because by definition, a project at some point ends, and also for initiatives like product development. And people, and that's the nice thing about it, simply belong to whichever circle they are supposed to belong to, where they can either learn or contribute for as long as it makes sense. So except for the permanent circles, because you will always be an Android developer probably, or an HR person in my case, except for those, you simply jump in and out of the circles to where it makes the most sense. This gives people the possibility to be seeing different parts of the company, right? It allows them to have a certain amount of autonomy and make their own decisions about how they do certain things. And it also allows them to explore different career paths. Because another thing that we allow people to do or enable them to do is to change career paths. We have quite a few people who started out in one role, for example, in QA, and then decided, okay, they would rather like to be a developer. Then it turned out, it's not so interesting for them, but they realized they would be very interested in being a solution architect. And now this person is a solution architect, right? So yeah, we're simply trying to be forthcoming and to help people to be the best person, or I should say the best version of themselves.
Okay, now that you present me how you did this, I got some questions because in the last few years last 2 years there was the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
And also the silent quitting.
Yes.
Did you happen to have problems because of this, or how did you manage this?
Yes and no. So I have to say yes and no because we also saw a higher churn in our employees, so a higher churn rate in the last 12 months, which I believe was driven by the fact that we could not deploy our key strength. So we as an organization, we are as good as we are, and we have people with us for decades because we are a very tight-knit community. We're not a family, right? Because I hate it when companies say we're a family. You're not, because if your kid is bad, you don't kick them out, right?
Yes.
Or if you're a kid and you don't like your parent anymore, you cannot just fire them. So as a family, you're forced to be together.
Yes.
But as a community, you choose to be together. And this is how we see ourselves. Now, the problem with the last 2 years was that we hired a lot of people, and many of them never met their colleagues face to face. So basically, you have an application, you have a job interview online, person is onboarded online, they work with other people online, they never meet, they have their frequent project calls, that's all nice, but it's never the same as being at the office, having lunch together, having a coffee together, or a cigarette for those who like it. It's just this human interaction and this togetherness cannot be conveyed in this way. And since this is one of our key strengths and is really something that I think differentiates us from other companies very strongly,
you couldn't use it. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, because before we had this Great Resignation stuff, we had the phase where especially developer salaries were just spiraling out of control, right? Everybody was hiring like crazy.
Yes.
Facebook was hiring 10,000 people in Europe. This did have an impact on the market, obviously. And now imagine you are this person, you just got onboarded remotely, you don't know anybody, you're sitting in your living room or kitchen working from there, and then comes another company and says, listen, I will pay you 500 euros more, or double, or whatever it is. Now, why would you say no? You have no relation to this company. And if your email address is sascha@3ss.tv or sascha@anothercompany.com, who cares, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I think we had higher churn in this period. But the Great Resignation, as we know it from media and everything that's going on, did not hit us. I think a reason why it did not hit us like this is because we did not play along with the game of crazy salaries. We are paying well, but we refused to go into the domains of paying 3 times, 4 times the normal market salaries, as other companies did. And you can see now that these other companies are struggling very much, right? So they're letting people go.
They are firing.
Exactly. They're firing 10%, 20% of their people. And we don't. We are still hiring. So I think, also in hindsight, it was a good decision.
Good. Now let's go back a little bit to Romanians.
Sure.
And how did you saw them? I don't know, accepting this your circle management strategy, or it was more difficult than in other parts of your group or other countries?
So we have by far the most people working in Romania, right? So out of these 300, I think it's probably 220 in our Romanian offices, roughly. So this was by far the bulk of the personnel, the biggest part that had to get used to this circle setup. And yes, initially, everybody, or every level, I should say, in the company was looking at me like, what? What are you talking about? This cannot work. Circle what? Even inside the management team, we had discussions, right? Because it's a huge change.
This happened to us also.
Exactly. And we had people who said, no, this is not working in Romania. You cannot do this. Romanian, you have to tell them what to do. You need to tell them how to do it. And then you need to kick them to do it. And said, yeah, maybe, but I don't like that, right? We shall not do that. So let's try something else. And then we agreed. And this is already the first step to make it work. Inside the management team, we had heavy discussions, but then we decided, and then everybody on the team was behind it. So we had full commitment. Once we make a decision, we stand behind it. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Then the second thing was to get the idea of this different approach to people. And there was a very clear distinction between, in quotes, older people, so I would say, late 30s, early 40s maybe, and younger ones. The older ones, some of them actually struggled, right? Because they were very much used to the idea to go to some boss, in quotes, and say, what shall I do? The boss tells me, do this, this, this. They execute. And then if something goes wrong, it's good for them because don't blame me. You told me to do it, right?
Yes.
But we don't have this problem anymore. This was in the beginning a bit, and younger people, they're different. Especially nowadays. You hire them, they're actually eager to feel a bit of freedom, a bit of autonomy, right? And also if you go to the literature, for intrinsic motivation, so for wanting to do something, you basically need three elements. You need a sense of autonomy, you need a purpose, so why am I actually doing this? And this purpose does not need to be I'm healing cancer or saving world peace, right? Just some tangible purpose there. And you also need a feeling of mastery, so that you actually either are very good at something or that you are on the way to being very good at something. If you have these three ingredients, it's much easier to have intrinsic motivation. And if you combine this then with an acceptable salary as extrinsic motivation, then typically you have the right mix to engage people, to keep them, and to go along with your company for a long time.
And one more thing that you told me is the fact that if you hire people that didn't have a way of thinking before, it's more easy to implement.
Absolutely. So the younger people who are joining us now, they haven't experienced the old system, right? The hierarchical system before. So they come in here, they say, well, that's nice, right? But they're not shocked. There's no culture shock. It's not like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So, but for the oldest, we had this. But like I said, we discussed this end of 2015. We started implementing in 2016. And by now, it's in everybody's mind. Everybody understands it, accepts it, lives it, right? So, and I'm pretty sure if you ask these 300 people today if they would rather have the old system back, I don't think that anybody would say yes.
Good. Let's move forward to the event. Maybe you can give us some insights about your presentation and maybe other speakers. What will they present? What they will teach us? And if this kind of presentation are also in this area about HR, organization, strategy, and so on.
Sure. So the event itself, like I mentioned before, is the first time we're doing this, right? Our main purpose is really to build on our own standing and just reach out to the IT community. It's not like we are planning to make money with this. It's actually not even organized, strictly speaking, by us as 3SS.
It's an NGO.
Exactly. We set up a non-profit organization called We Care, We Grow. And that's exactly what we want to do, right? We want to care about the IT community and we want to grow it. The reason we're doing it in Târgu, Mureș is mostly because it's between Brașov and Cluj, right? So people from all three cities could participate. And secondly, because in Târgu Mureș, we are fairly well known, much better than in Cluj, for example. So we thought it would be a bit easier there. The event itself is called an IT summit. what we're doing there is we're getting different speakers for topics from technology to life, right? So it's not purely technical. It's also a lot of work-life and work-life flexibility and how to de-stress as an information worker. So like I said before, I'm not a programmer, but I think, an information worker. I'm also a father of 2, right? So, and I still have hobbies. So I spend a lot of time thinking about how I can balance all these things without any of the areas suffering. And that's going to be my contribution to the event. I'm going to talk about this, some practical tips, how to achieve this. Other people will talk about work-life flexibility. Does it exist? Spoiler, yes, it does. And then we will have some technical aspects about cybersecurity. We will have an interesting presentation about how to spot fake trends, right? Okay. So all these hypes that everybody's suddenly talking about. How do you know if there is some substance behind it or not? And we will also have an interesting panel discussion about the future in IT. This is very much also with an HR aspect. So I think it goes really across the board. You don't need to be a technical person to really get something out of it, but you will. And if you're not, it's still interesting. At the very least, you're going to get a free lunch and a nice wine tasting in the evening. So
it's an all-day event.
It's an all-day event, right? On the 4th of March, it's a Saturday. And since we know that a lot of people who are potentially interested in this might have children, we also set up a children program there. So you can bring your kids along. They will be under professional supervision, and they are going to explore the domain of robotics with building and programming little Lego robots.
Oh, nice.
Personally, I think I'm going to go there, right? Instead of the rest of the presentations. But I think it should be nice. The idea is simply that you can come even with kids without any worries, and you can enjoy the presentations.
So, Sascha, you told us about the event, you told us about the speakers and the presentation. I know that you have a new initiative that you want also to promote and to tell us more about this new initiative.
Yeah, we do. And actually, that's like the world premiere where we talk about this a bit more publicly outside our own organization. Before the pandemic, actually, we started thinking about an initiative called She Can Do IT. So it would be hashtag She Can Do IT. And the idea would be to focus on women in IT to help them. Either if they want to get into IT domain, to help them get classes, courses, whatever they need, or if they are inside of IT already, to help them find employment, a decent job in a nice company like ours, for example. Just saying. We don't have all the details yet, but we are going to announce it at the end of Limitl3SS. And it's most likely going to be focused very much on the Cluj area. Here we want to do a series of events, probably some sort of meetups or get-togethers. It's still open if we're going to do this all by ourselves with We Care, We Grow, or if we're going to do this with a partnership. Actually today I had a discussion about a potential partner with whom we can do this, who is already established in Cluj, and we will see how it goes. But it's again the same idea. Help a bit to give back to the IT community, and in this case, especially focused on women.
Really nice, really nice. I know a lot of ladies and women that worked in one domain and now they are working in IT. Good. Tell us how people can find you, and tell us more about what you actually do at 3SS.
So the company is fairly easy to find, I think. So if you go to either 3ss.tv or you just search for 3SS, you will find us. There is no escaping.
Okay.
If you're looking for me personally, for whatever reason, it's probably easiest also to search for my name. That's Sascha and Kasper with Kappa. Then you find me. Coming back to the company, because that's kind of more important, I still owe you a bit to explain the explanation of what we do. So far we have been talking about how we do things and how we see ourselves, how we organize ourselves, and that it's a nice place to be. What we do is, at the very basics, we are a software development company, right? And historically, traditionally, we were doing bespoke software development for clients, typical project work. So a client said, I need this piece of software. We said, okay, we can do it. We did it, project. But over the years, we realized that we were doing more and more projects in the same domain, which was very good user interfaces and user experience for users. Now, we decided to put all this together and build a product framework called 3 Ready. So that's the digit 3 and Ready, which we are now selling. And from a typical body leasing company, we evolved to what is now one of the industry leaders in this domain. Now, when I say we do user experience, then I need to be a bit more specific, because we don't do it for any kind of software. We do it very specifically for software that is used to consume entertainment content, video on demand, TV, etc., on any device. That sounds very dry, so let me give you a more graphic example. Everybody knows Netflix.
Yes.
So if you start Netflix on any device, you get some sort of user interface.
Yes.
What you see there, this kind of user interface, is what we do, nothing else. We did not do it for Netflix, I'm very fast to say, but we do it for a lot of other companies. Our customers are typically telecommunication companies. An example for a potential customer in Romania would be a company like Telecom Romania or DG, right? So these are the type of companies we build these interfaces for.
So basically you adapt the interface for each type of display and...
Exactly. Yes, but we do it in a, we do it in a smart way.
It's more
because
complex. Yeah.
instead of developing it separately for each different platform in their native language, we do it with a shared code base, where it's much easier to do any changes in the future. And additionally, we create a tool called our control center, which helps the customer to control what kind of interface to show where and which content to show where. This includes the possibility to do A/B testing with different user interfaces to see what works better for the end customer, and also content control with scheduling, etc. So Control Center is a huge add-on to just having a normal user experience or user interface, even though the client, so the guy with the phone in his hand, does never see it. It's a huge add-on for our customer. Our business is purely business to business. We don't create applications for normal users, right? We create them for the businesses, and they then deploy it to their end users. So that's what we do.
But do you do also the entire application or the entire streaming platform?
No. We are really focused on the front end, on the user experience. We do integrate then with middleware and backends. So we don't do content distribution, for example, right? Or content storage or content editing. All these things we don't do. We work very closely with multiple partners, especially backend partners who are focused and specialized for these things, but also analytical partners, because now more than ever, there's a lot of data out there, especially about people using phones and TVs, etc., for consuming content. Now, our clients would like to know about user behavior.
Who is there? Yeah.
Exactly. And with our partner, we can collect a lot of data and can also integrate it directly in Control Center to make this visible and make it actionable for our customers.
Real nice, real nice. This video technology is advancing.
Yes, it's pretty crazy.
With the 5G, 5G and so on.
The funny thing is with 5G, actually, that's a good point, because so far we have been focused on operator business. But a few years ago, we started moving into automotive business, which is cool, especially now. So at some point, cars will be able to drive by themselves, right? It's a matter of time.
Yes.
Now, at that point, the car will be just another room for you. It will be another office or another living room. So what do you want to have in there? You want connectivity, and you want to be either able to work or to have entertainment.
Yes.
And already now we're working with a few car producers on prototypes, how our interface, also our framework, I should say, could be used as an interface in their cars for initially the passengers in the back, and later, if you really have autonomous driving, for everybody in the car.
Yes.
So we are expanding into automotive business now, which is super exciting, I have to say. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a technical person, but even I get excited about this, because when I see what our guys are doing and what is possible already now in the car with 4G and later with 5G, that's just amazing.
Yeah, I saw a lot of cars that have tablets now on the board. So basically the hardware, it's already there. So you have to put also the software.
I mean, we have seen... there are concepts out there, you can also find them online on YouTube, etc., where you don't even have a normal dashboard anymore, right? Everything is basically a huge screen, and they just show whatever you need to see, and it's just crazy. And then you have, of course, other screens in the back and so on. So great stuff coming.
Nice. I want also to share with you that I want to create a new section on Digital Romania, and it will be about HR.
Oh, really?
So we will put a new section there, and I'm going to have some partners there that they will provide solution and services for the HR in IT industry. Okay, so do you want to add something more at the end of our podcast?
Well, first, once again, thank you for having me. It was real good fun. For me at least, not sure if I bored you. And last not least, obviously, there has to be the call to action. So once again, would be great if people can come to Limitl3SS. I think it's going to be an awesome event.
Yes.
But yes, I am a bit biased. But if you come there and you didn't like it, you can let us know. So we're obviously going to ask for your feedback and your opinion on it, and then we can do better next time.
I will be there for sure, and I'm trying to convince my family to come.
Oh, we have excellent family packages actually.
Okay, and for our readers and for everyone, please visit Digital Romania. Please visit our YouTube channel, and you will have there more information about Limitl3SS event and other events that will happen soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.